Wine is a generic word in the Scripture. It can refer to the juice of grapes or it can refer to alcoholic beverage. Even though most grocery stores carry non-alcoholic wine, most people automatically read the word wine and they think it's an alcoholic drink. And that's why they'll come up and say, well, Jesus drank wine. So what's wrong with me drinking wine? And of course, you got to go through this long spiel to try to explain it to you. Well, in turn, this has led to much confusion concerning the biblical stand on alcohol. Let me give you another example. The word love is used by all of us, and yet we all understand that we mean different things when we use the word love. For example, I love my wife and my kids. I especially love her tonight because today is our 32nd anniversary. Okay? So I love my wife, but I also love my dog. Well, how many know you don't love your wife like you love your dog? And if you really want to know who loves you the most, put both your wife and your dog in the trunk of your car and leave them there for an hour and then open the trunk and see who's excited to see you. Of course, I can use the word I love my friends. I love my little circle of friends. Obviously, I love my friends different than I love my wife or I love my dog. I love riding my four-wheeler. I love the Lord. Well, everybody knows that word means different things. We don't have a problem with that. Why are we having a problem with this? Well, obviously, the word wine does not necessarily mean an alcoholic drink. So when we read the word wine, and you've got to get this in your head, and this is why I keep repeating this throughout the rest of this series, you've got to understand it doesn't always mean, it could mean alcohol, and it could mean the non-fermented drink. And we deal with this predicament all the time. For example, the word story. According to Webster's dictionary, it may mean the telling of a happening, a falsehood or a fib, a section or horizontal division of a building. So, obviously, there's a difference in the word story. And what is going to make it clear is how it's used in a sentence. For example, I live on the third story obviously means something entirely different than he told me an interesting story. Right? Okay, so here's the point. Now listen to this, and I'm almost done. The context of the statement determines the meaning of the word. So, when you read the word wine, don't automatically think you're talking about alcohol. Sometimes it's just juice. But you got to read it in the context. And remember that it's not always referring to distilled, fermented, intoxicating drink. All right? Let me give you an example. For example, when you look at the context, which is a very important part of proper rightly dividing the word of truth. It's the study of the Scripture. When you read it, you'll find in the cases where it is referring to alcohol, God is going to show you the negative effects of the wine, and He warns against it. Let me give you a good example. How many know that the first mention of alcohol in the Bible was a powerful man of God, and he ends up getting drunk? In Genesis 9:21, he drank of the wine, and he was drunken. So obviously, everyone knows he wasn't drinking grape juice. It's clearly referring to alcohol. Now, when you look at this statement, look not thou upon the wine. I think everybody understands that what this is talking about when it says, because in the last it biteth like a serpent. In just a moment, Pastor Jeff's going to come up and share a little bit about his testimony and then talk about the upcoming thing right after Christmas about this thing biting. Why can't anybody see that grape juice doesn't do this, but this stuff called wine does do this? We know, for example, when it says wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, whoever is deceived thereby is not wise. We all understand that grape juice doesn't have a deception to it. But we do know that alcohol has a deception to it. There's an estimated 25 million alcoholics in America, folks. These are people that are enslaved, bound, and driven by a relentless desire to drink alcohol. They are deceived. And this is why we must talk about this. Now, next Wednesday, I want to discuss this what does the Bible really say about alcohol? We're going to get into many, many powerful verses. When Jesus turned water into wine, did he make sure it had alcohol in it? I mean, we say Jesus turned water into wine, but should we just go ahead and say Jesus turned water into booze? Okay. What about that? And I'm going to show you from the passage and from the context, it is absolutely impossible to believe that was alcohol. I'll prove it to you. When Paul tells Timothy to drink a little or take a little wine for the stomach's sake, is he telling him to take alcohol for stomach problems? And then, of course, is it okay to drink alcohol in moderation? What about if you and your wife are celebrating an anniversary or a wedding? I know lots of Christians, preachers. By the way, you know the guy I told you that had a real hard time with me about the communion thing? He's been arrested. Now, his church runs between 5,000 and 6,000. He's been arrested 2 times for drunken driving. Okay? Full gospel, tongue-talking church. Okay? You know why? Because it's deceptive. That's not what the other wine's talking about. All right? So hopefully this will get you, let's all on the same base. And this is the introduction, and we'll get into the good stuff next week. God bless you. Okay.